You have thousands of thoughts a day, but you already know this because they're loud, they're constant, and they can drive you a little crazy with all the nonstop chatter. And some of those thoughts, well, they're pretty brutal. They tell you all kinds of horrible things about yourself, that you're not good enough, not smart enough, that you always mess everything up, and that you'll never change. You probably wouldn't be surprised to hear that many of these abusive thoughts began early in your childhood. But because you didn't know how to process them, somewhere along the way you started to believe them, and they were programmed into your energy system as if they were the ultimate truth. Now you may be using these thoughts to abuse yourself, and you might not realize you're doing it, or how to get out of it. I'm Laurie, your feral mystic, and today we're talking about how these thoughts get into your programming system and how to shift that inner dialogue from self-abuse to self-support. Before you can start shifting these thoughts into a more supportive direction, it helps to understand how your system actually works and why you talk to yourself the way that you do. Part of your body and energy system was built for survival, not for modern life. In many ways, you're still running the same primitive wiring your ancestors used long before you became civilized. This older part of your system is constantly scanning for safety, looking for cues, and absorbing information from everything around you, your environment, your parents, your teachers, your community. It doesn't judge any of it. It just imprints it. This imprinting mechanism is how you learned what was safe, what was dangerous, how to behave, who you had to be to survive in your tribe. And because it's primitive, it doesn't ask whether the information is true. It just stores it and runs it automatically anytime it sees a pattern forming. This system works on repetition and consistency. If something happens over and over, it decides, this matters, this is important, this is a threat, pay attention. And once it flags something as a threat, that primitive system kicks in. It takes over for you. Fast, instinctive, protective, automatic. And in these moments, you don't have much say. This is not a flaw, it's survival logic. And there's a reason it hasn't evolved. It's a vital system. Its only job is to keep you alive. It doesn't care that you're happy or thriving, just that you're alive. And when it's working correctly, you absolutely want it to take over for you. The problem comes when things that aren't life-threatening get programmed into the system, and you respond to those the same way you would to real danger. This can shut you down from moving forward, making changes, or dissolving old patterns. When this confusion settles into the system, it can be a little bit like the boy who cried wolf. Your system reacts to old programs so often that eventually it can't tell what's real or current and what's just an old story. This can hijack your system and interfere with your ability to choose. So how can you reclaim your inner voice? This is where it gets really interesting. So let's break this down even further. Because you've probably heard the words conscious and subconscious. Maybe you even know a little bit about what they are. But let's zoom in specifically on how these two systems relate to one another, because the way they communicate becomes the foundation of your inner voice, and that voice is what determines whether you tear yourself down or lift yourself up. So let's get to the root of it. Your subconscious, the primitive part of you, it's the storage unit, the vault. It holds everything that's ever happened to you, everything you decided about yourself, every belief you've picked up, every story you inherited, every opinion someone handed you before you were old enough to question it. And because it works with the non-physical part of you, there's no filing system. It doesn't organize, analyze, or process. It simply collects unfiltered data, stores it for later. Here's where it gets tricky. For the first part of your life, you don't have access to the system that can sort any of this data. That brings us to the conscious mind, the data processor, which doesn't really come online until around 14. Before that, everything goes straight in, raw, unexamined, unquestioned, unanalyzed. Which means you are absorbing information from experiences, from parents, teachers, peers, society, even their fears and judgments, without being able to decide whether any of it was true, made sense, or was important for your life. So if someone told you you weren't smart, good enough, that you always mess things up, that you never see things through, your subconscious might have recorded that. Not because it was true or necessary, but because you heard it so many times and didn't yet have the ability to question it. And if you never revisit it, that story simply shapes your inner voice. It's like keeping a storage unit for years, paying on it faithfully, while forgetting what's inside, but assuming it must be important because you've kept it for so long. This is why so many of the harsh thoughts you hear now aren't really yours. They've been running in the background for so long. Old, inherited, unexamined, unprocessed material. Someone else may have planted the original idea, but you took it, you believed it, listened to it, and you made it yours. And now it may be getting in your way. So how do you begin to shift this into a more supportive direction? The first step is changing the way you react to the thought. When a harsh thought comes up, rather than trying to fight it, shame it, or ignore it, just notice it. Be with it. Become curious. Don't push it away or fear it. Just sit with it. Ask questions that expand your understanding. I wonder where this came from. Is this true? Do I actually believe this? Is this something that someone else told me? Is it holding me back from something I really want to do? Is it in alignment with what I want to create in my life? Is this the choice I want to make? If not, then what choice do you want to make? And what would begin to shift this old idea I decided about myself? This is the first step in reclaiming your inner voice. Not through fighting the thoughts or forcing it away or telling it to shut up, but through listening, awareness, curiosity, conversation, and choice. And keep in mind you've been feeding these thoughts for decades. Remember, repetition and consistency created them in the first place. Shifting them will also require repetition and consistency. Your inner voice can be your enemy or your ally. It really is completely up to you. Because remember, you created the person you are today. You may have done that unconsciously, but imagine what you can create consciously. Never forget how powerful you are. If today's practice resonated with you, please subscribe and join me next Wednesday for more guidance, support, and the reminder that you're not alone on this journey.